Hey everybody, welcome back to a Watching the Tropics episode 3, where we're going over a major hurricane currently developing just south of Mexico and how this will actually impact the Gulf of Mexico and portions of the United States going to late next week. All of those details will be in this forecast for you, and let's get right into it. So as of right now, this has been a major development over the last several hours. We've seen this system strengthen very quickly. This is a Gotha. This is currently a Category 2 hurricane. It's about to become a Category 3 hurricane before making landfall in Mexico going to Memorial Day. So basically during the later portions of Monday, likely between about 6 p.m. and 11 p.m., that'll probably be the best chance for this to make landfall. You can see the very pronounced current circulation right now, and this is all moving out to the northeast, and it'll eventually go into Mexico. Eventually, this will actually go toward the Gulf of Mexico, so it could actually go toward the United States going into later portions of this upcoming week. So this will definitely be a storm to watch very closely as it moves out to the northeast. And again, very pronounced circulation here over the last several hours. This is rapidly developed. We usually do not see major hurricanes this early in the year, but it is in the Pacific Ocean. I usually don't cover Pacific Ocean weather, but this is an exception because it will go into the Gulf of Mexico here pretty soon. So definitely gonna be a storm to watch. Here's a look at the National Hurricane Center's forecast as of right now. As I mentioned before, the wind field, by the way, is pretty huge. That's basically anything from tropical storm force winds or greater. That almost extends into Mexico already. So there's a hurricane warning there right along the coastline. And again, it's gonna become a major hurricane. That's what the M stands for. Eventually, it'll be a tropical depression by Tuesday afternoon once it makes landfall and it's over land. Now, after that, there's a lot of uncertainty, but it will likely go into the Gulf of Mexico and most likely redevelop into something. So it's going to be definitely something to watch. Here's what the National Hurricane Center is forecasting as of right now. Left side of your screen, that is the area of development as of right now. So going into next week, there's about the next 5 days, there's a 30% chance of this developing. That's in a pretty small area, by the way. It's likely going to develop somewhere closer to like the Florida coastline or something like that, and it will likely develop then. I'm giving it about a 70% chance of development within the next 10 days, by the way. So there's a pretty good chance it'll develop into something. I'm not forecasting it to be a hurricane, though, in the Gulf of Mexico. All right, here's a look at the overall intensity over the next several days. So as I mentioned before, it'll become a Category 3 most likely overnight while you're sleeping. So just kind of keep that in mind. Eventually, it'll drop down as it makes landfall. And eventually, once it goes into the Gulf of Mexico, there is a whole lot of uncertainty. I mean, a lot of computer models are kind of all over the place at this point on what will happen exactly. So as you can kind of see, the uncertainty goes from a Category 2 all the way down to a tropical depression. I mean, there's just no specific intensity that we can really go off of at this point, except the GFS and European model, which are not included on that. And I'll get to that in just a second. Here's that short-term forecast. So most computer models again bring it into Mexico. Eventually, really what's going to happen? Well, there's a big question mark. Only one computer model is bringing it back toward Mexico. One is bringing it toward the north, which might actually mean it would go close to Texas. That's a possibility. It's a very low chance though, because of that cold front we'll see later this week. Also, then most of the other computer models, by the way, are bringing it off to the east, which would likely go into the Caribbean or the southern portions of the Gulf of Mexico. And here's a look at the long-term outlook in terms of these computer models. And you can see that most of them are bringing it northeast toward Florida, and that would be associated most likely because of that cold front that we'll see again in Texas going to Thursday and Friday. That should keep the system away from us. All right, let's take a look at the overall wind field and where this is going, when it's going, and whatnot. This is the European model just for reference. This is the one I'm going with in my terms of the forecast right now. This is going through Saturday and Sunday of next week, so this is actually a little bit delayed. This is going to be, at this point, most of the computer models are delaying this a little bit. Most of them are showing it entering the Gulf of Mexico around Wednesday or Thursday. Some of them are now pushing it back towards Saturday or Sunday. You can see here's your circulation here. So the low pressure system, again, strongest wind's going to be on the eastern side. That's pretty typical with the development of tropical storms. Eventually going to Monday, you can see it gets close to Florida. You can see the winds are anywhere between 40 to 55 knots, which again is tropical storm force winds. And eventually going to Tuesday, it makes landfall in Florida. That's currently the forecast. But again, the cone of uncertainty right now, I mean, if we start from where it is right now, the cone of uncertainty just grows at this point. I mean, there's a large area where this could go beyond from now. I mean, this is still 6, 7, 8 days out until when this would actually happen. So there's nothing set in stone, so don't panic, but it's definitely gonna be something to watch very closely as it does head toward the United States. And eventually, by the way, this would move off to the northeast and go into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, where it goes from there is also a big uncertainty. We're not really gonna get into specific details as of yet, but again, make sure to stay updated with North Texas Weather Center for the latest. Again, we'll have Watching the Tropics episodes all week long, so make sure you stay updated for those. This forecast is brought to you by Platinum Contracting, All Dents Repair, and the Dashner Law Firm.